Okay, so guys, what ideas do we have?
And then King Kong jumps out and attacks the car.
Why?
Don't know.
Genius.
The Shining!
I'm sorry?
You know the movie The Shining?
Yes, I know it.
We go in it!
But why?
Don't know!
I like the way you think. I was also thinking maybe Chucky should come out of nowhere and attack someone.
That sounds a bit random.
Precisely.
I see your point.
And then the Ninja Turtles, Freddy Krueger, the Batmobile, and Tron show up!
But why?
Who gives a shit?
Pay rise, please.
Ready Player One tells the story of a virtual reality universe called the Oasis, where you can go anywhere and be anything you want to be.
So it's Wreck-It Ralph.
Or Inception.
Or The Matrix. Or Jumanji.
Or Tron.
Or Source Code. Or Assassin's Creed.
Those were key.
It follows the creator of the universe, James Halliday, played by Mark Rylance, who leaves 3 hidden keys somewhere in the universe amidst his death, and whoever finds them all wins ownership of the game. So it's Willy Wonka.
That's just sad, man.
It leads to an orphan named Wade, played by Ty Sheridan, determined to find a purpose in his sad existence by winning the game, along with his mates and lady friend, who he's never met because in 2018, it's hip for people to date a webcam.
Thanks, bro.
The book the film was based on, written by Ernest Cline, wasn't published until 2011, but Warner Brothers actually purchased the rights a year beforehand, with producers Dan Farrer and Donald DeLine joining the production. The author even wrote the first draft of the screenplay, which was later tweaked by Eric Eason, which was then in turn altered again by Zach Penn.
Initially, Christopher Nolan was approached to direct after his movie Interstellar, but he turned them down.
They then approached Robert Zemeckis, Edgar Wright, Matthew Vaughn and Peter Jackson, all of whom said no, as did Josh Trank, who turned down the offer twice. Didn't stop them getting a Robert Zemeckis Easter egg in there anyway though.
That's like a rule.
Many scenes from the book were removed, specifically the ones they found would be uninteresting on the big screen, including a scene where Wade beats a high score in Pac-Man, and another where he recites all the lines from the movie War Games.
Because as you'll see, this movie has a raging boner for the 1980s.
Balls.
Strangely, in 2016, a musician attempted to adapt the book into a movie, and it was none other than Moby.
Nobody listen to techno.
Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on who you ask, before he got his dirty mitts on it, Stennis the Spennis took on the director's chair instead.
He was like a god.
The role of the love interest Artemis, or Samantha for normal people, almost went to Ellie Fanning and Lola Kirk, before Olivia Cooke landed the part in September 2015.
For the lead, Barry Keoghan was considered, but ultimately it went to Ty Sheridan, and Tom Cruise and Tom Hanks were both also considered for the part of James Halliday before Rylance landed it.
Mike Flanagan, the director of the Shining sequel Dr. Sleep, would later admit that the producers even approached 81-year-old Jack Nicholson to reprise his role as Jack Torrance, but he declined and chose to remain in retirement.
Oh yeah.
Filming began on June the 24th, 2016, but not actually in Columbus, Ohio, but in Birmingham, England. Makes sense? Next week, a New York movie shot in Hull.
It's such an honor.
Funnily enough, locals were unaware that a big-budget movie was being shot there, so when they filmed the explosion in the caravan home, several people panicked and called the emergency services for help.
I can fix it in 10 minutes.
Filming wrapped on September the 27th that year, and then came a strenuous job on the special effects and post-production.
To prepare for such a job, Spielberg actually used a real virtual reality headset and wandered through the different virtual sets with a virtual camera on the floor to test out several different camera angles to truly see what he could do.
Cool.
Originally, it was set to be released on December the 15th, 2017, because if Spielberg goes 1 year without releasing a movie for Christmas, rumor has it his heart will explode. But he claimed he wanted to avoid competition with The Last Jedi. What, the competition of what's worse?
Can you do that?
So Ready Player One was eventually released on March 29th, 2018, and on a budget of $175 million, ended up grossing $607 million worldwide.
Fans and critics had mixed thoughts as well. Some found it a lot of fun with some excitement and great throwbacks to the past, while others found it underwhelming, relying solely on nostalgia and nothing else, filled with no story, plot holes, and no character arcs.
Wait, really?
Despite this, Ready Player One was still nominated for an Academy Award for Best Visual Effects, but walked away empty-handed, though a sequel is supposedly in the works. There was actually a second book, but it all relied solely on the financial success of the movie. But as of the making of this video, Spielberg is still claiming that it is going ahead.
Shit.
I mean, it's doomed from the very beginning, isn't it? Opening in Ohio.
I don't even know why they bother to announce that it's set in Columbus, other than that's where it takes place in the book. The stacks are completely unrecognizable in the real world anyway. This movie could quite literally take place anywhere.
I do have to say, it's a really weird idea of what 2045 is, considering it was only released in 2018. This is what 1981 thought 2045 would be.
Yeah, apparently in the future, everything will be grey.
But they still have shitty-ass rundown trailer parks, so it's not too futuristic.
How does he even get the internet hooked up in the middle of his little junkyard room? Is Wi-Fi completely universal in 2045?
One thing I will say is, despite this movie's problems, it does have some truly astounding cinematography.
I do have to agree, they clearly put a lot of work into the visuals. The movie looks fantastic. It isn't, but it looks it.
It has some of Spielberg's patented long takes, and the production is insane. It does look like a real video game at points. Somehow, the man always manages to make complete dog shit look like gold. And dog shit. It is a really well produced movie. It looks amazing. That being said, this movie loves a good movie reference. Or any movie reference, it doesn't have to be good. I mean, there's Bigfoot,
Akira,
Big Trouble in Little China, Smokey and the Bandit, Excalibur, Thundercats,
Boba Fett,
Mass Effect, Last Action Hero,
Spaceballs, 2001: A Space Odyssey,
Battlestar Galactica, Buck Rogers in the 25th Century,
really? Yeah. Tron,
The Lord of the Rings, Tomb Raider,
Duke Nukem,
Legend of Zelda, Monty Python,
Clash of the Titans,
Star Trek, Mortal Kombat,
Doctor Who,
He-Man, Overwatch,
Overwatch,
Cowboy Bebop,
Batman,
RoboCop,
Freddy Krueger,
Captain America,
Back to the Future,
Jurassic Park, just in case you forgot that Steven Spielberg made this,
King Kong.
The Iron Giant.
If you're using the Iron Giant as a weapon, I think you missed the entire point of that movie.
This movie that's supposed to be celebrating pop culture just gave the Iron Giant a fucking gun. May as well give Jesus Christ a bazooka.
I know.
Beetlejuice,
Alien, David Bowie,
Michael Jackson,
Buckaroo Banzai, Harley Quinn,
The Joker, Star Wars,
Star Wars,
The Shining!
the Atari 2600.
Kroll. How many people are even going to get that reference? I mean, sure, I do, but, you know, I'm me.
Gremlins,
Ninja Turtles. The Michael Bay versions for some reason. Fucking outrage.
fucking Chucky,
Godzilla.
Transformers, Terminator 2, and that's not even counting all of these.
GoldenEye. His favorite food was Hot Pockets. Favorite restaurant was Chuck E. Cheese. Song was Video Killed the Radio Star by the Buggles. Video was Take On Me by a Hop. His favorite quote was from Superman.
Play Robotron, listen to Duran Duran.
Clark Kent glasses.
Dark Crystal.
Duran Duran.
Millennium Falcon Breakfast Club.
Fast Times at Ridgemont High, not John Hughes.
The Fly remake.
It's based on the best-selling book by Stephen King.
That's the zombie circle level in Mayhem Mansion.
An Atari 2600, sir.
Sword Quest games, they were created for a contest Atari held.
The Iron Giant.
Backwards, really fast, fast as we can. Really put the pedal to the metal, you know? Bill and Ted did it.
That doesn't even make sense. When did Bill and Ted go backwards?
Suppose they went back in time. It's a bit of a stretch. We get it, Spielberg! You want to have sex with the 80s? Do something new! They're not even trying to hide it.
The Galactica, of course.
These my babies, alright, man?
Sulaco from Aliens.
Dude, how you showing off my shit?
Valley Forge from Silent Running. Oh, where's the Harkonnen dropship?
They even managed to work the transcript of the pitch meeting into the film.
Does it look like I'm trying too hard?
Yes!
Halliday's library also gives me flashbacks to the inventory system in Fable 3. And that's not a good thing.
You made it to Fable 3?
It was a pack-in game with my 360, okay?
It's Adventure. Released in 1979 for the 2600, Adventure was created by Warren Robinette.
Okay, movie, we can all Google Adventure on our own. You don't need to recite the Wikipedia page for us. Also, we have no idea who this woman is. The movie seems to think she's important, but I have no idea why. And how the hell did she know it was Adventure? And why the hell do they think I care?
The issue is the references are just so random and all over the place. They're having an epic car chase scene only for King Kong to appear out of nowhere. His hideout just so happens to have the Iron Giant because nostalgia.
I mean, within the first 10 minutes of the movie, we have 3 songs from the 1980s, and all of the songs from the soundtrack have dick all to do with what's actually happening in the movie. It's like the soundtrack is on random. Except here. At least that one works.
Other films like No Way Home, Scream, or Wreck-It Ralph had their own story tied around the references so it flowed smoothly. But here, there's not a great deal of story or memorable characters. It's quite literally just forced references for the sake of it.
It really is a case of cramming as many different pop culture references into about 10 seconds. And how many can they cram into 10 seconds? A shitload, apparently.
The movie quite literally puts everything on hold to enter The Shining. Now don't get me wrong, I can't lie, seeing the hotel again does look pretty sick. This was actually digitally recreated. Some original footage from the old movie was used, but they also used CGI to allow some new angles, but some of the old sets were also physically reproduced. Impressive, but why? That's the biggest question of this movie. Why? Stephen, why is Chucky attacking people during a big battle? Stephen, why are teenagers playing a video game being molested by the old lady from The Shining? Stephen, why is David Bowie in a 2045 nightclub?
Don't know.
Who gives a shit?
The entire plot goes on hold for this nostalgia ride of 80s splooge.
This is all because Halliday's date was to see The Shining. Yes, he took a date to see Jack Nicholson attack people with an axe.
And they say romance is dead.
I will admit they did a pretty good job recreating the Overlook Hotel, although it's very obvious which shots are based on the original footage and which are new CGI renderings.
We get the twins,
the blood out of the elevator,
the haunted room, the ending chase through the maze.
Did they mention the fucking 80s were cool?
But somehow, it's not even the most pointless reference dump in movie history. It may have been at the time, but it would soon be replaced by Space Jam 2.
It's just a massive game of spot the reference. And again, it looks really cool, but what the hell is the point when the story is shit and the characters are shit with no arc whatsoever? I mean, Wade has an abusive uncle. Oh no, in a Spielberg movie. I expected it to be the dad as well. But they do portray video games very accurately.
How much of our house money did you spend on upgrades?
Well, all of it.
In fact, that's another issue I have with this movie. It has a lot of opportunity to tackle certain issues and they just don't. You could perceive the film as a social commentary on technology and how it's taken over our day-to-day lives. Everybody in the world is in Oasis. Somehow. I mean, they show that everything you do in Oasis you need to do in the real world, as in you walk in reality, you walk in Oasis, you have to, yet Wade somehow explores entire cities from the confines of his trailer. People somehow navigate the world without walking into oncoming traffic. It makes no sense! Sorry, sidetracked.
No, you're right. How is everyone walking around with these headsets on without killing themselves? This needs to be addressed.
Yeah, that's true.
Films like Idiocracy did a great job showing technology rotting our brains and being our demise later down the line, but this film doesn't even attempt to touch on it until the ending.
We closed the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I know it sounds like a weird move, but people need to spend more time in the real world.
But where the hell did that come from? After 2 hours of Wade obsessively being on this game trying desperately to get laid, and then he's like, maybe this is unhealthy.
So the big lesson here is don't waste your time with video games and pop culture and live in the real world. But in order to win, Wade had to do completely the opposite of that for 2.5 hours. I'm getting mixed messages here.
No, yes.
It's also weird how almost everyone else gets the most generic-ass car, but Wade gets the Back to the Future time machine. There's that, a monster truck, the 1960s Batmobile, and the Tron cycle, but it just makes it real easy to see who the hell the important characters are.
The character of Halliday is pretty cool.
And Rylance pretty much plays the exact same character in Don't Look Up, but at least here, he actually shows enough restraint to still come across as a real person.
I have no idea what the fuck he was trying to do in Don't Look Up.
But this delivery absolutely floors me.
I'm James Halliday. If you're watching this, I'm dead.
That deadpan delivery is easily the funniest part of the entire movie. Then again, it's not really saying much.
Listen to me very carefully.
Although it does occasionally get a slight chuckle.
No, we just have to win the Shining challenge.
Get her off me! Get her off me! Get her off me! Get her off me!
Yeah, try not to accidentally erase the whole of the Oasis on your first day. If you all want to reach under your seats, you'll find that there's nothing there. But we're gonna bring you one now.
Hey, who put that clip in there?
What? I thought it was funny.
You're the world's most badass 11-year-old ever.
He knows.
Shut up, let him tell me.
This is how you plan to resolve the fate of the world's most important economic resource?
Yeah, when you put it that way, it does sound kind of stupid, doesn't it?
Wade ends up figuring out the clue to the first key because he just so happens to stumble upon the exact memory that Halliday programmed into the game, and just so happens to decipher his bad illogical Bill and Ted reference and realizes that he has to drive backwards real fast.
Did he program them into the game? I wondered if he died and set up security cameras to document every single moment of his life on the off chance he died and decided to create a weird, elaborate game for the player to inherit his fortune. But doesn't this raise serious privacy concerns with the other people in these recordings? They're technically part of a game and they did not consent to that. Can they sue the developers now?
In fact, does he have to do it in reverse? Couldn't he have just, turn the car around? And he could have at least been given a car with a better rear view.
Then again, when people know this much information about Halliday's private life...
It's Halliday's 11th favorite horror film.
I don't even know my 11th favorite horror movie. How the hell do you know his?
The shareholders won't be happy.
It's not our job to make them happy. It's our job to make them money.
What the hell do you think makes shareholders happy? McDonald's?
Well...
Oh, shut up.
Then again, the bad guy has his damn password written on a post-it note. Nice to know technology may change, but people never will.
And when it's not completely nonsensical, it's entirely predictable.
She could actually be a 300-pound dude who lives in his mama's basement in suburban Detroit.
They're a girl, aren't they?
Helen, my dad called me kind of stuck.
I mean, she was literally the only one disguising her voice. It's hardly a surprise.
We get the generic having to shoot the love interest for their own good cliché.
The hero's family gets their lives threatened cliché.
The locals forming a lynch mob to take down the bad guy cliché. The evil relative blowing up at the most predictable moment cliché. You can see absolutely everything coming from a mile away, including the lame-ass love story.
I'm in love with you.
You are such a virgin.
You've had like 3 conversations with her, dude. I've got a carton of milk in my refrigerator I've had a longer relationship with. And I should probably throw that out. It's grown a beard and is now called Chad.
Yeah, dude, I'm like totally sentient, bruh.
Weirdly, in the book, they don't actually meet in person until the very ending, but they moved it to halfway into the movie to develop their relationship, but it doesn't really work. We're supposed to believe that she's this hideous beast because of a birthmark, and she expected him to be disappointed. I mean, I'm just saying, when you look at them, wouldn't she be the one who'd most likely be disappointed?
Yeah, it's a bit lame that she was only superficially unattractive. It kind of reminds me of the CW Beauty and the Beast TV series, where the Beast only had a minor scar but was otherwise a complete hunk. We're also supposed to buy that Wade is such a good guy for looking past her birthmark. I mean, it's not really that hard to look past, especially since she'll be on House of the Dragon in a few years.
I'm taking the leave.
I mean, you already said you love her after 20 seconds and a few likes on Facebook. I don't think a kiss is that shocking, dude. The voice acting is pretty good.
He borrowed gear. He built up debt. He moved in with a promise of working it out, but he never did. IOI just raised his living expenses, then he got sick and he couldn't afford to get out, and then he died!
And as far as the dialogue goes...
A fanboy knows a hater.
A grown man just said that line.
I can't afford to zero out.
You're afraid to lose your shit?
No, I'm not!
You literally just... Oh, who cares?
The music is so over the top, though. You do kind of feel sorry for Wade, as you can tell that this game is all that he has. He doesn't really have a lot in the real world, but goddamn the music is over the top.
I'm so sorry.
No, you don't live in the real world, Z. From what you've told me, I don't think you ever have.
Although, why does he have Morrow's wife's obituary? You'd think this would foreshadow something, but it doesn't. Why does he have it?
Several parts just don't make any sense. I mean, during a chase scene, Wade is getting hurt because he's wearing the virtual reality vest, so he's feeling the pain, but why doesn't he just exit the game? Just remove the headset, you idiot! In fact, they all do it. The bad guy wears it during a battle. Why the fuck would you wear something that will cause you to feel actual pain when you are fully aware that you are going in a battle? You only need the damn headset, you morons!
Why would you even design something that would allow you to feel the real-life pain? Who made this, Charles Manson?
Wait, the Oasis needs you. I'm gonna delay them.
You have the second key, love! You're the only one who has the second key. He can't do shit. You are literally the only one in this game who could do anything, you stupid bitch.
I will admit, they have the bad guy at gunpoint in one scene, but it turns out to all be an illusion as they've hacked his VR headset, which is pretty cool.
If it wasn't for all of these other movies that they clearly stole it from. Not only does it seem similar to a lot of other films, but it also shares similarities with the Aaron Taylor Johnson movie Chat Room, which features teenagers talking online, but we see them physically in a room before meeting up in the real world. But this one, the characters are so forgettable other than Wade, Samantha and H. I don't remember who any of the other people are from Oasis, so when they meet up, it just goes over my head.
I think he pissed himself.
Okay, Spielberg is taking these transitions far too seriously now. And then we get a demonstration of a woman being unable to follow simple instructions and not being able to go 4 seconds without speaking.
Artie, don't say anything. I'm tapped directly into your audio feed.
How did you find me?
You had one job!
I don't even get it. They break her out just before she was about to be let out for a 10-minute break anyway. Seems a bit pointless, really.
And considering this movie is clearly obsessed with the past, it's not at all surprising that they have some truly outdated ideas of masculinity and heroism.
I can handle the challenge, but I can't let you get hurt in the real world.
And this ending actually looks very similar to the ending of the angry video game nerd movie. And I'm going to choose to believe that Hollywood legend Steven Spielberg deliberately copied YouTube sensation James Rolfe. Admittedly, it looks pretty cool to see the avatars in the same frame as the live actors, but it means nothing.
You got the egg.
Hooray.
Okay, he doesn't shoot him, but it makes no sense for this character to not pull the trigger. None whatsoever.
There's also no way that a corporate dickweed like him would even attempt to get his hands dirty in the real world. He would absolutely get his henchmen to do it for him. Somehow, the gun works, though it can't have more than 12 bullets, and there's clearly a lot more than 12 people there.
I also love how all of his mates in the van are super emotional as if they're fully aware of what just happened. None of them have a headset on. Quite literally, none of them saw or heard anything that just went down except for Wade's speech and hand movements. This movie is dumb! But nowhere near as bad as a lot of people have said. It makes no sense, but I do think it's watchable. It's not boring, and visually it's a damn impressive film. You can tell that a lot of effort went into the visual side of the production, just a bit more than the 20 seconds that went into the screenwriting. There's no character arcs, they're all just boring nothing characters. It's just a barrage of forced references to remind us how awesome the past was with no actual story to back it up. Yeah, remember that thing you liked from 30 years ago? Well, there it is. Look, there it is. No other input, just look, there it is. It's a shame too, because I do think this is a cool idea. Yeah, it's been done before, but this is Spielberg we're talking about, who is fully capable of making it his own creation. But instead, it's just forced reference after forced reference, leaving an incredibly underwhelming cinematic experience.
Overall, I don't really buy the romance between Wade and Samantha at all. The acting is pretty solid across the board, though Simon Pegg with an American accent will always be weird. The special effects are pretty good overall, and I can honestly see why people would want to waste so much time in the Oasis. The first time I saw this movie, I remember having a lot of fun playing Spot the Reference, but it was a lot less fun the second time around. The endless reference dumps actually became insufferable after a while. The more I see this movie, the less I like it.
Okay, I see a ... I'm guessing I'm just supposed to stare at the camera looking confused. Based on the line that comes before, I would be confused. So, yeah, Moby?